Okay, everything that you need to know about Kick. Buckle up. So at the very basics, I'm going to assume that you understand that Kick is a live streaming platform, started a couple years ago. Essentially, a group of individuals who really supported Twitch decided to make a new platform when Twitch started making some really bad changes in a negative favor for creators. Now, the only caveat is these individuals are also the owners of an online gambling site. But obviously that's struck some controversy from day one. But we're not here to talk about the history of things. We're here to really get into everything that gets talked about on Kick, the pros, the cons, and just have a discussion about it. So that way everybody leaves this video today aware of how it really is, how things really are. So what are the benefits of streaming on a platform like Kick? You get 95/5 sub split, meaning if somebody subscribes to you for $5, you will get 95% of that. The other 5% goes to the processing on Stripe. It doesn't even go to Kick. On top of that, you get an ad-free experience, and they have their own program over there called the KCIP, which is the Kick Creator Incentive Program, and it is an hourly pay program. So once you hit the threshold, you will start getting monetized per hour for views, interaction, all your analytics and stats on the back end of Kick. You'll get paid for that. I talk to individuals that average 50 to 75 viewers, and they make anywhere from $6 to $10 an hour. And I've talked to people from 100 to 200 viewers that make anywhere from $15 to $20 to $40 an hour. There's a lot of variables that go into it. We don't really know exactly how they give the payouts, but nonetheless, it exists. It's a pretty good benefit of being there. On top of that, it is by far the #1 site for responses from actual staff, from real people. I see a couple individuals here and there on Twitter bitch that it's not their automated responses, which doesn't make sense because 98% of individuals that talk about Kick, I hear say how amazing the response from real people is. And I've experienced that from day one. I've been traveling a lot lately, and I myself have been sick. I don't have a deal with Kick or anything. I'm just a creator that now uses the platform. The Kick staff and Eddie himself have actually reached out lately to me to check in, just see how things are going. I streamed on Twitch for 7 fucking years and never got one human response about anything. So I would say it is probably the best platform in terms of getting a real response from the platform in itself. To add to the benefits, they just announced that they're going to do weekly payouts now, which is insane. This is the first platform, to my understanding, unless one of the off streaming sites, one of the much smaller ones that I've never checked out, unless they do it. But to my knowledge, nobody has ever started a weekly payout for creators on platforms. That's incredible. So no ads, 95/5, KCIP, and the weekly payouts alone are they're really truly platform game-changing benefits of being over here. You could watch the rest of the video and see if it's worth it to you, see who can really benefit from that. But nonetheless, it is here. A lot of us creators really do benefit from that on Kick. Another benefit a lot of people actually don't talk about, and it's because it's related to the gambling. And I think it's just because the gambling side gets such a bad picture, which again, we'll talk about that here in a little bit. But the reality is Kick owns Kick. It is able to invest into Kick based off of their money. Eddie and the other owners have their own investments and their own funding to be able to push into the site. We actually have never been able to see a platform do that. When Twitch launched, it was Justin TV and a group of people that came together and just wanted to create a streaming platform for, I believe, League of Legends or WoW or something like that. YouTube didn't even start off with having a whole bunch of capital and a whole bunch of money behind it. So the fact that Kick doesn't have to answer to somebody or play ball by some corporate company that owns them, like how Amazon is with Twitch, kind of gives them a huge power move to do and make updates at whatever rate they want. In fact, the weekly payouts update came because they have a weekly podcast, and somebody was on Eddie, the owner's podcast, and said, yeah, we should have bi-weekly payouts. And 2 days later, weekly payouts were introduced. You would never see something like that on Twitch, YouTube, TikTok, any of those other platforms. There's so many levels through the corporate ladder that things have to be approved and written off from. It's actually kind of absurd. Example, I've had meetings with YouTube about things they should do with streaming, and YouTube gaming even says like, yeah, we agree, like we love these ideas, but like it's just not going to be possible for like the next couple of years because there's just so many levels that shit has to get through to get approved. And a benefit of Kick is like they don't have to deal with that. They don't have to deal with another company coming along and saying, hey, we got to take money out of the creators' pockets. We have to do this. We have to do that. They really get to dictate the narrative. Now, we both know it's not all sunshine and rainbows. The reality is the reason you're probably here is because you've heard so many bad things about it and you want to lean into the drama of like figuring out how fucked up it is. But before we talk about the negatives, let's just kind of talk about like why it gets such a public bad rep. Obviously the gambling doesn't help. From the start, some larger Twitch streamers really wanted to voice their opinions about gambling. In fact, some of those Twitch streamers like Pokimane, for example, were the ones who push crypto gambling off of Twitch. They wanted to push all gambling off Twitch, all online gambling. Twitch basically said we're going to get rid of the crypto companies because there's no way to regulate that and no way to get their hands on any of that money in any way, shape, or form. It's a whole other conversation. But anyways, a handful of creators with larger followings are team against gambling. So since day one, they've really been trying to push a negative narrative that this is just a bad place in general because of the gambling. Listen, everybody can have their own moral decision. You can choose, personally, you can choose to not support something because it has something you don't agree with. For example, you don't like gambling, it makes you feel a negative way, so you don't want to support it. The hypocrisy, however, in this industry is unfucking believable. Amazon, who owns Twitch, has a multi-billion-dollar deal with the world's largest online sports betting and gambling site. Twitch in itself still supports a massive gambling audience. I guess my personal view and why it didn't intimidate me, and I'll just be completely transparent, I have a gambling deal myself. I got my first gambling deal when I was actually streaming on YouTube. I found it was fun. I warned everybody in my community of the potential negatives, but I'm gonna do it. So obviously it's safe to say that I haven't had as negative of an outlook on it as some other people. Mainly, I guess, because I've acknowledged a while ago that in every corner of this industry, if you go down the line, it gets very muddy. If you're completely anti-gambling and you're like, that's just horrible for people to take advantage of that and it makes money off of that. But if you're okay with tech companies using third world country child labor to produce your products that costs 10% of what you end up paying for it every single year, you're a hypocrite. The very phone, TV, computer that you're watching me on, somewhere down the line, it gets a little wonky on if the ethics are good to put that product together and sell it to put it in your hand. But hey, you still fucking paid for it. And let me just make it clear, I'm not trying to point this out to say, hey, you're a bad person. It's just kind of been my thought of like, I just play ball in the world that I play ball. It is a pretty fucking corrupt world. The best way to where I wouldn't support any corruption, in all honesty, is by selling everything, getting out of my mortgage that's controlled by the banks, and banks do a lot of bad shit in this country. Get out of all that. Get out of all the subscriptions. Get out of all the technology. Sell the house. Go find some land somewhere and live off the land. Really, if you want to have the cleanest conscience, if you want to be morally just like pure to the essence of a living human being, that's the only realistic way. It's fucking sad. It really is. I mean, like Amazon's an example. Amazon owns Twitch. I don't know if you guys have ever seen some Amazon information or who owns Amazon, but it gets a little corrupty and a little unethical in some situations around the world. Is that my shitty way as a human being to justify my own indulgence in the things that I want? Maybe, I don't know. But again, I'm just trying to articulate the idea that when it comes to the gambling stuff and it funding the platform that I'm creating a brand with and that I'm communicating with a community on, to be honest, I don't really care that it's funding it, but I totally get that that's one thing that's gonna give it a bad rap. Another reason it gets a really bad rap is because of Twitter, mainly because of the higher level news type channels, like the community news stuff. A prime example would be Dexerto. The way Dexerto always pushes posts about Kick, it's always a Kick versus Twitch. It's always like, if a shitty thing happens from a streamer, it's Kick streamer does this. But if a streamer does something bad on Twitch, which in the last year, there was countless clips that was shared on Dexerto that were very negative shit. Arrest, racism, sexism, like wild fucking clips on Twitch. But you'll notice typically any of the time it's just streamer does this. In fact, this last week at TwitchCon, there was some controversy with some Kick streamers. Dexerto put a post saying, Kick streamer does X to Twitch streamer, but it was two Kick streamers. They actually had to remove the post because they were getting called out. So am I essentially saying that one of the reasons it gets a bad rap is because of larger accounts giving it a negative narrative? Abso-fucking-lutely. They genuinely do. You are delusional if you think otherwise. Now, the next question is, why are there so many shitty people on Kick to even be in those articles in the first place? The reality is 99% of like shitsters on Kick are on the platform doing stupid shit, and they came from fucking Twitch. So whenever you see wild clips, most of the people are failed TikTok and Twitch streamers that are just using Kick as their next place because they've already been pushed off the other platforms. By the way, I called this a year ago when like all the clips from like Jack and Neon and all those guys started pushing out, and a lot of like the Kick higher ups are like, oh, just let it ride. I even warned them and said, you guys are gonna see a large amount of small creators move over to the platform and push boundaries and lines way further than you guys are gonna wanna see, and they're gonna give Kick a bad rep. And that's how it's been for like 6 months. A lot of like the bigger names have really calmed down in their like wild IRL streams, but now we're seeing a result of so many waves of people that have seen that content and they're like, oh, I could just go to Kick, do whatever the fuck I want and cause some drama and controversy, which is what we've seen this weekend at TwitchCon. But the reality is they're not made on Kick. These aren't people that just picked up a camera 6 months ago on the Kick platform and like, huh, this is the career I'm gonna go down. So yeah, Kick is an insanely bad rep because some larger creators don't like gambling, so they wanna paint it in a negative picture while they sell their highly processed energy drinks and high sugared snacks to their audience and market as healthy. Then you got larger accounts on Twitter that just try to make everything on Kick look fucking horrible and pretend that nothing bad happens on Twitch. And it currently doesn't help because Kick is battling so many of these up and coming wannabe IRL crazy streamers. Now, where did Kick go wrong in my opinion? Because honestly, I feel like they had huge leverage off the start. There was a lot of respectful creators and brands that were genuinely ready to play ball on Kick early on. And truth be told, over the last year, it's just gotten to the point where it's like embarrassing. I even really pushed the platform at first. I've seen a lot of potential because of the interaction with staff, like having meetings with the actual people and seeing the hype from the community go to a platform where it's ad free, and the community knew that I got most of the support they gave. I was a big fan of Kick off the start, and you'll notice I dialed everything back a lot. And that's because, truth be told, I got embarrassed. I'm just so tired of the IRL shit, like the IRL degeneracy that gets pushed over there. With that, I've had some time to like reflect and really see it, like, where did things go wrong? Number one, I would say focusing way too much on just being anti-Twitch. There's really just a world where they can both coexist. I mean, it's always gonna be a debate. It's easy, low-hanging fruit. Like this video today would do so much better if I say Kick versus Twitch versus just like, what is Kick streaming? Like people are gonna wanna know the differences. In fact, people go out and seek that. They search that. They wanna know the differences themselves. You guys as viewers curious about Kick have probably searched up Twitch versus Kick and seen what comes up. But making your whole entire campaign against one other thing, it just gets old. It gets really fucking lame. And then when you create the foundation to be opposite of, which when Kick launched, Twitch was very like left-leaning, liberal, soft, really like leaning into making it a safe space for everybody. Like it was going down the path of being like TikTok to where you couldn't even say like no words. I remember like the last batch of words that were banned on Twitch were like simp, virgin, incel, and I'm just like, what the fuck are we doing, man? These are just fucking words. So then Kick came out and basically like their whole pitch off the rip was, we're gonna be the opposite, man. Do whatever the fuck you want here. Say whatever the fuck you want here. In theory, good idea, but like, we're obviously seeing the negative effects of that. And I think they leaned into that for way too long. I think they tried to be like this gun-ho, we'll pick up all the bad people that got kicked off Twitch. We'll bring them here and give them second voice because like free speech and freedom. And it's like, yeah, to an extent, it makes sense on paper, but like Kick has to understand at a certain point, if you ever want to really play ball against sites like YouTube, for example, you're gonna need respected creators on here. You don't need to cater to people, but just wanting to lose anybody that has at least some sense of self-respect is like really silly. And that brings me up to another point of where I think Kick went wrong, which was just focusing extremely too hard on the IRL content. I don't know where they stand with it now, but at one point in time I had talks with Kick and I was like, what is all the fucking IRL stuff? Like, why are you guys so invested into IRL? Why do you want everybody to IRL stream? And like one of the guys there was like, oh, it's the future. If you don't think everybody will be IRL streaming in the future, you don't get it. And I'm like, no, content doesn't have to be this thing that you think. It's natural. It is what people adhere to. And like Kick came in way too hot at trying to like predict and trying to like curate and push the next wave. And they really thought it was going to be IRL streaming. And I'm fucking sorry, Kick, but it's not. And this isn't just directed towards Kick. This is also Twitch as well. IRL streaming at a mass scale is fucking stupid. And maybe I'm biased because I go to events and I see the lack of human experience. And I also get extremely annoyed when I'm on my vacation and somebody wants to shove a fucking camera in my face. So maybe a little biased, but I just don't see a world where like good content is going to be everybody with a camera 24/7. Like it just, I don't know, it just doesn't make sense to me. It'd be like watching 100,000 people's vlogs every single day. But I know everybody that's watching this video, I know you're going to relate with what I'm about to say. You pick the genuine people you fuck with, and you've probably watched a few of their vlogs on YouTube over the years. Maybe it's Roman Atwood, maybe it's Casey Neistat, Peter McKinnon, or some family vlog, or like the Hex vlogs or something. Regardless, the point is, you don't just watch all vlogs for the sake of watching all vlogs. There were hundreds of thousands of vlogging creators that obviously didn't get anybody to watch their vlogs, me being a main one of them. And you're talking about like videos that are chopped down to be like 10, 15, 20, 30 minutes of the day. And somehow Kick thinks that everybody is just going to watch thousands of people in live 24/7 vlogs. A vast majority of human beings don't have the time for that shit. I would actually argue the opposite. I would argue that we're gonna see a huge surge in just vlogging on YouTube. Just good, authentic, natural vlogging on the platform. I'm sure some of you guys and gals have already started watching some people just go about their day. No crazy edits, nothing wild, just cut clips of their day. And again, that reverts back to the point that people just don't have fucking time to watch everybody. So for Kick to want to influence everybody to IRL stream, it's just going to result in a whole bunch of people having these overpriced IRL backpacks with no more viewers than they got when they were at home. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. Let me know what you guys think, but I do not think that the future of streaming is IRL, that everybody is going to be IRL streaming. It just doesn't make any sense to me. Another area where Kick really went wrong, in my opinion, overpromised, underdelivered. Now, they came out swinging with a lot of stuff. Again, since they control the platform, they could do a lot of the things themselves. They've done a lot of monetization updates fast. And like, look, it does suck for Kick that we're in times where everybody is so fucking needy and wants more and more and more, and they get like lazy and bored quick. Like there's no other platform in the world that offers the monetization benefits that Kick offers, but yet now people want more. They want like the bits version. They want some kind of donation. They want like how many more ways can you make money off of your viewers? So in Kick's defense, a lot of people are just like, they constantly want more, but like for the last year and a half, Kick has been promising API and it's still not here. Like that should have been like one of the first things that should have been introduced. To my knowledge, the original site was kind of like built in the wrong way. They just launched the newest version of the site to have like better infrastructure and security apparently, or some shit. And now it's gonna be able to be incorporated into the new site. We'll see. But like Eddie and Kick, they gotta stop yapping. I really love what you guys do. I support a lot of the shit you do, but the fucking like, we're gonna do this and we're gonna launch that and we're gonna change and shake things up. Like at a certain point, I'm just listening to a politician. I'm not seeing any change. And like, I know you want to make change and I know you're working on stuff. Just keep it fucking shut until it gets here, so you're not constantly looking like you're pulling everybody on a string. It's such a negative look, in my opinion. I've seen countless creators that are still even doing well on Kick, might I add, but countless creators just gave up on the platform because they feel like it's not serious. They feel like they're just talking out of their ass all the time. It's just not healthy to constantly be saying, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that, and never following through with it publicly in the immediate. Now, I do feel like Kick's improving on some of these things. They have kind of pivoted away from just the competition between Twitch. I've had a conversation with our like head of partners saying that like they're really pushing into the direction of like Kick and Twitch can just both coexist, different platforms for different people. They are focusing more away from mass IRL content. They've been banning a lot more people for doing stupid shit. Case in point, this last weekend at TwitchCon, I think the majority of the troublemakers got banned off the platform, and they have dialed back the promising of certain like launch dates and things. But where I think Kick goes wrong still is like really leaning hard on the IRL content, really thinking that that should be like the really like prized content on the platform. Gaming's pretty slacking there. Call of Duty does pretty well. A couple other stuff like RuneScape and some other things where like just some larger creators came over and brought an audience, but you don't really have any like natural growth in some games. Like for example, Apex Legends, it's a great one. Like you go to YouTube, Apex Legends is fucking huge. You go to Twitch, it does very well. Kick, Apex Legends, non-existing. They have to figure out a way to run some kind of campaigns or work within the industry in some way, maybe through like the launch of drops or something like that. But they have to influence more diversity because not everybody likes to watch IRL streaming just because you do. I have said that, by the way, so many times, specifically to the higher ups at Kick, because I know for a fact they're a big fan of some of these guys. Like it is content that they like. And there's a huge problem with that because you can't base the future of the platform off of what you just personally like. So if some of these guys are just really big fans of IRL content and they think it's like funny and entertaining, it's like super biased to lean into that because again, content is subjective. I can't stand IRL content. I never watch IRL streamers unless it's like a friend and I'm just stopping by their chat to say hi. I like a more authentic interaction. I'm more interested in somebody sharing their craft or sharing their skill set or just having a conversation. So I personally don't lean into IRL, which like, hey, I'm not the owner neither. I wouldn't want to run Kick to be like anti-IRL. And I think that's where I go with my next point on Kick. I don't think they have enough higher ups around the world. Case in point, they have no American office whatsoever. And I think they should. And I think they should hire people that don't follow the exact narrative that they want, that have some kind of background in other aspects, maybe working in like the gaming portion of Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, or something like that. I think they need to expand to America in the first place, but bringing on more people that will challenge the plan that they want to do and bring more discussion and more ideas, I think would be super healthy to the platform. And then where I think they also continuously go wrong is they're way too focused on like the advertising of money to creators. And I really think they miss out on the interaction to chat. Like somebody that doesn't have $5 to give or doesn't have money to donate or doesn't have like all the time in their day to count as a statistic for the KCIP, how can they come by for 5, 10, 20 minutes and enjoy their experience? Like what kind of new experiences can a viewer just get? I think Twitch has nailed this throughout the years. This general feeling where you like come to a chat and you're like leveling up as a viewer, competing in the experience of being in that community. I think Kick needs to just take a second from like waving money in all of our faces. I'm genuinely appreciative, but like we got enough monetization, Kick, for now. If people want to bitch about that, tell them to go make content somewhere else or get fucking brand deals. Take a break on the monetization updates and focus on the experience. Make the people that have never been to any streaming site want to stay on Kick when I post on my Instagram that I'm doing something and somebody's just like, oh, what's this? Because without that, I think Kick is just going to constantly be chasing this idea of we're just a different version of Twitch. We're a better version of Twitch. And I think they need to shake things up a little bit and they need to make the user experience in chat so different that somebody that has never even been to Twitch is just like, wow, what the fuck is this? This is so fun and cool and something new. And that brings me up to the next talking point. How is Kick different from Twitch? Well, to be honest, aside from the monetization and the communication, it's really not. And that's kind of like the double-edged sword with Kick. Being a creator there, it works the same way as Twitch. You gotta go grow everywhere else and bring people over. There's no algorithm there. Discoverability on live streaming sites like this are fucking dog shit, and you should never rely on them. Sorry, Kick, love you guys. Any viewer that's listening to me right now, if you ever hear any of the Kick staff tell you, this is what you gotta do to get discovered on Kick, don't fucking listen to them. They're delusional. They have no idea how to grow a brand on social media. They're only working for a company and they're feeding you bullshit. Same thing goes for Twitch, by the way. And it's like, hey, it's not like it's impossible. It's the fact that it's horrible fucking advice to people. It's like telling somebody like, hey, if you want to make $1 million, your best bet is just playing the lottery every single day. Statistically speaking, you could win the lottery. But it is the worst human advice to give. It's just like, hey, show up and just play the lottery every day and don't focus on starting a business and learning how to scale a business and grow your business. Just show up every day and buy our lottery ticket, and someday it will probably pay off. So considering the fact that Kick really isn't that much different from Twitch, I think they gotta continuously pivot to be different from Twitch. And I think they got to think different from Twitch as well. A huge suggestion that I would give is, instead of combating other sites like how Twitch has for years, I think Kick needs to lean into other sites. Because like, here's one example. Kick and Twitch would not exist without YouTube and TikTok. And that's just fucking fact. They would not be where they are today without the support of clips on other platforms. It has been the lifeblood to the platform. What has never made sense to me about Twitch, for example, is how the whole idea is you go create content somewhere else, bring people over, but like, you need those other social platforms to grow more. But when you bring people over to Twitch, when you bring people over to Kick, it's encouraged to just keep them there. We don't want you pushing people to other sites. We don't want to push you to the competitors. Twitch has been really negative about this for years. But like, my argument has always been, why push people off the site? Why not create the live stream as an initial hub for the content in itself? So while they are live, oh, hey, there's a new video, you can just embed it on your page, for example, and people could just pause your stream and watch your newest YouTube video directly from your page. You're gonna get the statistics over on YouTube, having it embedded on your page, and then you keep people on the website. Sure, they're not playing your stream for that duration of the video, but it's so counterintuitive to say, hey, bring somebody from another site. Oh, you uploaded a piece of content and you need to keep growing, and your new supporters on Kick are currently in your live stream. Well, we don't want you pushing them back off the site. We want to keep them on this site, but you need us to continuously grow on those sites. So you should want to be leveraging the traffic you have on this site to continuously push the creators on other sites, so that way the funnel can keep coming back. Because like, let's be real, nobody goes to Twitch and Kick on their lunch breaks to watch clips. Like, okay, maybe some like really diehard members of like the live stream Reddit community, okay, like they only consume that content, that's fine. I'm talking about the leverage of hundreds of millions of people who go take a shit and scroll on TikTok and YouTube. Until Kick and Twitch become just social media websites, they're never gonna have that. They're never gonna have people that just wanna come by and get the quick fix. So if you need to utilize that quick fix to funnel people over, you also should in some way encourage the idea of funneling those people back to those sites for those creators. So that way it's this like lifeline, this blood pulse. And by the way, I wanna make it clear that it's almost seemed like I bashed IRL streaming this whole entire time. I think there's a place for IRL streaming. A great example is my friends, West and Chaplin. They have recently started IRL streaming their builds and stuff, and doing like burnout competitions and things like that. Like, I do think there's a curated like special event place for IRL streams and whatnot. And I know that there's obviously an audience for like people who want to be a part of like their favorite creator's life. It's just the encouragement of like, it's the future. Like, let's fully bet on that, because as we're seeing a result is like, everybody thinks that's like the best way to grow on Kick right now. So they do the wildest shit over there to get the attention. Super negative. Next, let's talk about small creators on Kick. You'll hear like a split when talking about this. Some creators you'll hear like, oh wow, I've never had a more supportive site. A large amount of small creators you'll hear, oh, is there for like the first 3 months and they pushed me and then they stopped pushing me. And I mean, if anybody did any basic research, you would see that, like, sure, some of these smaller creators did get pushed because, like, it's been a new site. There wasn't as many people. Kick didn't know who to, like, push and like support. And wow, lo and behold, none of these creators did anything to leverage the traffic they had to push any other social. Like me, for an example, when I started streaming on Kick and I seen some of the hype and some of the conversation, I leveraged it. I made YouTube videos. I made Twitter posts. In the first 2 months, I generated over, I think, 3.5 million views in totality across Twitter and YouTube alone in the conversation of Kick. I helped that bloodline, brought people over to Kick, pushed people to the content. I capitalized on my growth, but I want to just make something very clear. If you watch my content for a while, I probably sound like a broken record, but if you're new to this video and you actually genuinely believe Kick does not support its small creators, you are fucking stupid. Now, I say that with all due respect, and a good thing about that statement is you can learn from this next part and you don't have to be fucking stupid. It is so counterintuitive for a website that is trying to compete with watch time and traffic, it's trying to compete with bringing attention to the site. It is so counterintuitive to not invest into small creators. It's not that Kick doesn't support smaller creators. It's that a lot of small creators don't do anything to push their brand. They don't do anything different from everybody else, and they don't really have any invested interest into wanting to grow and learn from themselves. They just want to show up and go live and leave their fucking shitty job. I know I sound like an ass when I talk about this, but I've been doing this for 14 fucking years. I had to hustle while I worked a full-time shit factory job. I left my job at one point and got in too head deep and didn't manage my finances correctly and was stupid about shit. I had to go back to that shitty fucking job for years till I could do it right. Here I am 9 years later, successfully full-time, and I'm telling you right now, the number one reason why people fail is because of small creator mentality. I'm small, you should push me, please be nice, make a donation submission of viewers to me, because views are just mindless fucking idiots. They're just mindless robots. So just give me views and I'll just be big. That's not how it works. You have to remember that number, they're viewers, they're people. They have interests, hobbies, personal problems in their own life going on. If you don't cater to them in some way, shape, or form through maybe education, entertainment, like you're funny, hilarious, maybe you're ranty, like me, and informative, good looking too, huh? Maybe you're all of those things. People will fuck with you. They'll see the authentic side of you, they'll relate with you, and they'll want to come around more because you're providing some form of value to their life. You're filling up parts of their day, and they like that. If you just look at that number and you're like, I'm owed something because I'm small, you'll never respect what that number is. And you'll always look at it as like, woe is me, I deserve because I showed up. No, you don't. You don't deserve a fucking thing. We were all small creators. It is so dumb to just blame a site and say they don't push small creators, because literally everybody that has made a name for themselves on any platform started from zero. And I know a lot of people hear that, but they don't hear that. Mr. Beast, at some point in time, had 0 subs. Regardless of what you think about him, he started at fucking 0 subs, just like you. He didn't snap his fingers and have hundreds of millions. He, over a long time, didn't give up, learned, worked with his homies, and blew the fuck up. Every small creator literally starts where every big creator started. So to articulate the idea that any platform, even Twitch for that matter, doesn't care about the small guy and doesn't support them, they're against the small guy, they only support the big guys, it's pure delusion, because the biggest benefit that Kick would get right now is a small streamer blowing up. That's what, in fact, I believe Kick needs. Kick needs small creators to start showing up, doing their fucking job, working hard, and being the next Jinxies, the next ninjas, the next Kais. And if you look at what any of those guys did, they fucking hustled. They went out and fucking grinded, dude. They made content, they streamed, they collaborated with their friends and homies. They didn't make everything about vanity metrics. I think Jinxie was live for like a year with 1 fucking viewer, some shit like that. So no, Kick doesn't hate small creators. So this leaves me up to the summary, and maybe like the answer that a lot of people were looking for. Is Kick a bad platform? Is it right for you? Listen, there's nothing shady about the process of being on Kick. People try to make it seem like that, but they're like payment processing works through Stripe. They have a legitimate team of people, staff and developers, and they're trying to make a better product. They are trying to improve. I don't think there's nothing bad with that. It's buggy here and there. It is pretty new. Again, people are a little impatient, so they bitch about it a lot. And sure, it gets so exhausting constantly having to defend it from these idiots that come over and give it a bad rep. And I know people are tired of hearing that, but it's so true. Because in my experience, in the last year and a half, I have met some of the best staff that I've ever met. Again, never even got a response from Twitch. I will give YouTube Gaming some love. I've had a lot of interaction with YouTube Gaming. They do a great job at reaching out to their creators. But I met some of not only the best staff, but the best people on Kick in the last year and a half. Genuinely, like some of my best friends now, I never knew them before Kick. I've never been a part of a community that actually interacted with each other, that actually like influenced the idea of like, hey, let's like play games with each other. Let's collaborate. Let's like do shit. Let's get into podcasts on stream and let's just hang out. Like we want to be with each other. Maybe it's just a bad personal experience. When I was on Twitch, it was very cliquey. It was very egotistical. I never really got too much love there until I started doing a lot of designs, which then everybody wanted my designs. And like, hey, I made a lot of money from doing that. I scaled my designing business at the time. But like the reality is none of those people like fucked with me. They were there for specific things, for specific wants. When I had my big moment on Twitch and started averaging 200 to 400 people, a lot of people were just coming through asking how I was getting sponsors and what kind of camera gear that I used. And then they would be gone. A lot of like fellow creators, they just wanted to know what my settings were. They wanted to know how I set shit up. Now, obviously, I'm not bitching about this. I was smart. I made content around this on this very YouTube channel. Things that people would ask. I was like, why constantly answer these people when I can go make a YouTube video about that? So I benefited from it. Like, I got something in return. But like, that's where it was on Twitch. That's just all that happened with a lot of people. It was just very much like, if I can't get something from you and you're not a part of my crew, nah, dude, I'm good. As to where like Kick, I don't know. I've just met so many genuine people that are so inviting and so polite. I mean, people that are much larger than me, that have a lot more viewers than me. So it's not even like this idea of like, they were trying to benefit anything off of me. And like, hey, it's not perfect. There's been some shitbags on fucking Kick. There's shitbags on any single platform. But for me, it's just been a better experience. So like, my suggestion for anybody is, I just really think you should fuck around and find out. I think you should stop listening to people on Twitter. And like, hey, maybe you'll have a bad experience on Kick and you'll never want to come back. Maybe it will change your fucking life and you'll love everything about it. But you're just not gonna know until you stand up for yourself and do your own shit and just stop paying attention to the news and what some big fucking millionaire streamer has to say. Because of course, like, they have their opinions and their wants because like, they fucking made it. I encourage a lot of creators to like test the waters and just find out. But the biggest advice is please just don't come to Kick and think that because it's this new place, you'll just grow. Always create content, grow your brand elsewhere, funnel people over. That is the only way to grow on places like Twitch and Kick still in 2024. That's what I got for you guys today. I'm up. Peace. Deuces.